Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Avron B. Fogelman Arena in Devlin Fieldhouse for the big reveal. Prepare your hearts, your minds, and your cell phones, and welcome to the stage the 15th president of Tulane University, Michael A. Fitz.
Today is Tulane's tipping point. Today is about bringing Tulane to the next level. And today is for building the Tulane of tomorrow.
It only takes a small dose of curiosity to change the world. It only takes a few fearless visionaries to foster new schools of thought. What began as a community medical school built to empower a developing city evolved into one of the most far-reaching research universities. A hub of history and culture at the forefront of it all. And that calls for celebration. The alchemy between Tulane and New Orleans is inescapable. It's magnetic. In this irreplaceable macro-microcosm, we attract individuals who desire to live and learn in abundance, who choose the bigger life. See, the bell curve of what's normal is much wider here. That's what draws us to Tulane. And it's what the world desperately needs. When challenges arise, we step up. This is our tipping point, and we're answering the call. The future will be led by the bold, the ambitious, the innovators. And when you put opportunity in the hands of the daring, magic is made. Our moment has come. Only with you, only together, only now can we make our next big move.
For 184 years, Tulane has been a beacon to the bold, a siren's call to trailblazers and pioneers, a mecca for anyone who has ever dreamed of changing the world. Ours is an audacious spirit passed on from our founders to generation after generation of Tulane graduates. It's an attitude which flourished after Katrina, when we returned to New Orleans with an unwavering and intentional commitment to rebuild our community and restore our home. Because no storm has ever or will ever stand in Tulane's way. And today, Tulane has never been more ambitious. From research that changes the world to service that utterly transforms our community, Tulane has never mattered more than we do right now. Do you know, as well as I do, that we've reached the moment in the time against incredible odds? For decades, we've accomplished spectacular, remarkable things, but with only a fraction of the endowment of some of our wealthier peers. We've thrived, but always with fewer resources, fueled by the unlimited creativity, passion, and hard work of every Tulanean. But here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I've had enough of running a marathon from 15 yards behind. It's time for us to find out just how great we can be and just how fast we can run. It's time for Tulane to take the lead. It's time for Tulane to become the most daring, the most intrepid, the most enterprising university in the nation. This is the destiny we must achieve, not just to recapture the spirit of what makes us us, but to double down and ignite our passions and usher in a new era of academic ambition and world-changing research. I imagine a Tulane where our students have unfettered academic freedom and unlimited potential to explore and create and discover. I imagine a Tulane that even beyond how it does now, harnesses the full sum of its parts to provide answers to the world's most important questions. And I imagine a Tulane where we don't just seek to provide a 21st century education, but a Tulane where we've already begun to prepare for the 22nd. Friends, we can make this dream a reality, and it starts with us. That journey begins right now. Now, make no mistake, the world is noticing Tulane. Let me give you an idea of what that means. A national poll of students recently honored us as having the #1 college city in America, the #1 for students engaged in community service, #4 for happiest students, and #7 out of 382 universities for students who love their college. In the past 3 years, we watched our US News ranking shoot up 14 points, the largest increase of any university in the top 100. And we've watched our admissions numbers rise year after year. This past cycle, we received over 35,000 applications, the most submitted applications in our entire history. As a result, our newest freshman class is the most competitive and diverse in Tulane's history. To give you a sense of their qualifications, their average SAT scores are 1449, which is a 48-point increase over the last 3 years. And with a big thanks to a lot of people in this room, last year was our best fundraising year in Tulane history. I could give you 1,000 reasons for Tulane's recent success, but really it boils down to one essential truth. Tulaneans are different. We are go-getters and innovators and forward thinkers. And that Tulane spirit is infused in everything we do. It's why US News ranked Tulane among the most innovative universities in the country. Because here, we train our students to solve problems, to see the world from infinite perspectives, to merge their skills and experiences and passions in creative ways, and generate answers to the toughest questions. It's no surprise that incoming students travel from further away to come here than do students at any other university in the country. Because the kind of people who choose to come to Tulane are adventurers. They're pioneers with different backgrounds and ideals and experiences. And as a result, Tulane has become a vital hub of collaboration and innovation, a dynamic force of creativity and world-changing ideas. And you can see that ripple across everything we do. Last year, we opened a new campus on the banks of the Mississippi River. the Bywater Institute, where our students and researchers are tackling the most vital questions of tomorrow, like energy production, climate change, and coastal erosion. At the Brain Institute, Tulaneans are exploring the mysteries of the brain, joining forces from across diverse fields like physics and neurology and public health to unlock innovative new ideas in the races to cure diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's. And at the Makerspace, every student has access to cutting-edge creative technology like 3D printers and laser and engravers and design software, learning hands-on with the tools of the future. The results have been astounding, and the Makerspace has become Tulane's personal incubator. It was a familiar stomping ground for the undergraduate winners of NASA's Big Idea Challenge, as well as our PhD winners of the International Business Model Competition, a team of 3 who defeated 6,000 other groups from across the entire globe. Tulane has always stood at this intersection of innovation and practical research. But now it's time to press down firmly on the gas pedal. The campaign is about turning these 3 examples into 3,000, and it's going to take a group effort to get us there. If we want to take Tulane to the next level, we're going to need more support now than we've ever had before. We have a $1 billion endowment. The Harvards and the Stanfords of this world have at least 25 times that. But look what we've done with our 1. Look how far we've come in just the last 3 years. Think of what we can do in the next 30. I've spent my entire life working at different universities, but Tulane is a different breed altogether. What I love about Tulane is its collective heart and its passion and its resilience and its courage and its ambition. What I love about Tulane is how here, more than any other university in the country, we have a community inspired to change the world. Ours is an innovative soul, guided by an unflinching resolve and a distinct personality shaped by a city like no other in the world. And most of all, I love how Tulane is unbound by some of the limiting academic ideas of the past, where physics majors stuck to physics and English majors stuck to English, and nobody interacted or engaged across fields. Here at Tulane, we break barriers and cross boundaries. And as a result, we make some pretty unbelievable discoveries. Today, we start proving to the world that Tulane's potential to soar is infinite. We need to prove that Tulane has the audacity to win the race. We need to prove that Tulane is fearless in the face of any problem that needs solving anywhere around the globe. We need to prove that Tulane has the nerve to take its deserved place among the elite institutions in the nation, to make sure everyone out there knows Tulane belongs among the best and the brightest in the world. So Tulane, let's do this. Here's how ambitious this campaign is going to be. We're going to raise $1.3 billion for Tulane University. Let's shape our future and make the Tulane of our dreams an absolute reality. By looking ahead and never compromising any of the virtues that got us here in the first place, I know we can make it happen. So thank you, thank all of you. I believe in us, and I believe in the future of Tulane. One last thing. I want us to end with a roll wave. A roll wave so loud that you can hear it at Vanderbilt, at Emory, and at Stanford. A roll wave to let every university out there know the green wave is rising. So on 3, let's hear it. 1, 2, 3, roll wave!
First of all, I apologize for the weather. I was backstage a few minutes ago, and a literature professor from Tulane was there, and we were chatting about the weather, and he said to me something very, very profound. He said, Peter, you know, snow is sort of romantic, and rain can be sort of dreamy, but in the history of the world, no one has ever written a damn poem about sleet. And good afternoon. I'm Peter Raschuti. I've taught at Tulane here for 31 years. I think I was chosen as MC here today. Hey, yes, there we go. There's long years. I was chosen as MC here today because I actually think I'm pretty audacious myself. 24 years ago, I started Birkenroad Reports. It's the nation's first and only student stock research program. Thank you. Thank you. These people might be investors. This is great. More than 600 students have moved on to careers in the investment field from the program, and the research produced by the students is read by investors all over the world and also helps fuel the Birkenroad Mutual Fund. The fund is publicly traded, and in the 16 years since its inception, it has outperformed 99% of all the nation's mutual funds. Of course, it has been quite a bull market for the last 8 years. And I know a lot of us, including myself, own a lot of appreciated stock and other assets, and I probably don't have to tell you that there's some big tax breaks for gifting those shares. So there we go. My CPA taught me that. I'm here to guide you through a demonstration of what makes Tulane audacious, the adventurous students that seek us out, the crazy, brilliant faculty who change the world, the alumni who bleed green for the rest of their lives, and the staff that work so hard and really make everything go. We feel the specialness of Tulane so intensely, but today we're going to really look at why it matters, our past and our possibilities. We'll hear from each of the deans about their audacious goals for their schools, and we'll think about the power of teaching and research to change the world. And of course, we'll enjoy some music because it is New Orleans. First, we'll begin with our campaign co-chairs. These are men and women whose passions inspire us all. This is Kathy Pearson, Phyllis Taylor, Richard Ullman, and Hunter Pearson. They will describe the 4 pillars of this campaign.
Hello. With pioneering research, Tulane pushes the world forward and solves impossible problems. Tulane was founded as a medical college to conquer yellow fever, and for almost 2 centuries, it has mattered to New Orleans and to the world. We assemble world-class minds to do battle with intractable problems. We push forward the boundaries of human knowledge, and we make the world a better place. Now, by supporting our brilliant and ambitious researchers, we have a chance to do even more. To find a vaccine for the Ebola virus, to solve the mysteries of the brain, and to decipher the lessons of human history. With your help, Tulane will change the world.
With transformative teaching, Tulane inspires generations of young people to become creative thinkers and inspired doers. We apply revolutionary innovation in our own teaching, and we know that powerful classroom lectures are never enough. We teach students to learn by doing, through design, thinking, and services in the community. We teach character and commitment, because there is nothing textbook about Tulane. Now, we must seize the opportunity to set a new standard by investing in our creative and brilliant faculty. We will redefine what is possible in the classroom and beyond. We will make a difference for generations to come.
Opportunity and diversity. Tulane attracts students from farms and inner cities, from poverty and privilege, and from every race and religion. We bring our students together with people they would never otherwise meet all over the globe. We do this because diversity fuels innovation, because the world's future depends on our ability to learn that we have more in common than we have apart. With scholarships and financial aid, we will ensure that we will never lose brilliant students because of their financial need. We will make Tulane a more vibrant and diverse community, one that mirrors the world. We will make Tulane an engine of opportunity and possibility.
We will build an environment to support excellence. With soaring buildings and the best technology, we will boldly create a campus where learning and living are indivisible. This is our pivotal moment, an unprecedented opportunity to ignite passion, spark creativity, and build it in a dynamic community like never before. Our campus must hum with a lightning-fast pace of change. It must create spaces to foster innovation, laboratories that challenge students to experiment, and stages on which to perform, because Tulane will model the future.
The work that we do in the classrooms or through research has a natural payoff in the rest of the world. I see that in the work that our faculty in the Water, Law, and Policy Institute does, solving the problems of coastal erosion here in Louisiana, has immediate application and has carried them to Vietnam, to France, to other parts of the world to share what they have discovered here. And that you see them in the classroom when a light bulb goes off for a student when they're tackling a complex problem. You see it in students when they realize their own potential and gain the self-confidence to be who they were meant to be. And to have a hand in that, to making that possible, is immensely satisfying. We can achieve a new model of legal education that will position a new generation of lawyers to be leaders and problem solvers in an ever-changing world.
To be the best School of Global Health in the US and in the world, linking public health and tropical medicine. The possibility to work in Louisiana, in tropical medicine, in the community, making a difference locally, but also at the national and global level. The link between public health and tropical medicine is unique and can only be done in a context like Louisiana and New Orleans. Working with students at the undergraduate level, at the graduate level, seeing them really becoming more global and designing solutions for the world of tomorrow. We can be the #1 School of Global Health in the US and in the world.
In South Louisiana, water is both a blessing and a curse for us. Coastal erosion is a huge issue. They say we are losing about a football field of land on average about every hour, and I think a lot of you know what that means. It means that pretty soon we won't be able to play football, and that is... and to deal with this, Tulane has created the Bywater Institute, which is a very, very innovative area of the university. This is an institute in which they have brought in scholars from around the world to come in, teach, do research, and find answers that'll help individuals and communities learn to live with water. Today, we're very, very lucky to have three very talented professors come and join us and tell us more about their work.
Good afternoon. I'm Maureen Lichtveld. I'm professor and chair of the Department of Global Environmental Health Sciences in the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. I am a number of other things, and usually when I start to speak, people wonder where my accent is from and where I am from. So I'm going to take you there. Life jackets on, sunscreen applied, here we go. Deep into the Amazon rainforest is where I do my research. We are looking for the impact of toxic chemicals on pregnant women and babies. So why are we going to the Amazon rainforest and what are we looking for? A lot of gold mining happens there, and with gold mining, to get the gold out, the illegal miners use mercury. Mercury is a toxic chemical that affects every single organ system in our body, from the brain to the kidney. When they use the mercury to extract the gold, mercury then stays in the mud. Little fish eat the bacteria out of the mud, the bigger fish eat the little fish, and guess who eats the big fish? You guessed right. And the most popular big fish in the Amazon rainforest is the piranha. Now, I make a mean piranha soup, but not those piranhas. The piranhas are the only source of protein for pregnant women and other kids in the area. And so through our research, and yes, this is the first National Institute of Health grant in that country, through our research, we are not only figuring out how much mercury is in the body, but we're trying to protect the babies, and we'll follow the babies till they're 4 years old. Now, how do we do that at Tulane? We collect hair, and it's tough to ask a woman to give a little bit of hair, right? I'm not a hairdresser. So we collect hair, we collect blood, we collect urine, we collect a little bit of spit, and how do you keep it safe in the environment where there is no electricity? We use solar-powered little refrigerators for a couple of days. Then we bring the samples to the city in Suriname, and then we fly them right here at Tulane. That's why our laboratories are so important. And so we measure what's in the blood and how much mercury is in there so that we can protect our babies. And we can then make sure that the next time they eat piranhas, the piranhas are safe to eat. Now, seafood is not only important in the Amazon rainforest, seafood is also important right here on our coast. So when the Gulf of Mexico oil spill happened, our communities here in the river parishes asked the same question: is our seafood safe to eat? And they didn't believe any of the 1,000 samples that the federal agencies took. They believed us. They trusted in us and the quality of our science. And so we went shrimping with our Vietnamese folks, and we analyzed not only what they caught, but also what they ate. And guess what? I am here to tell you, before you leave New Orleans and before you leave Tulane's campus, make sure you eat at least one shrimp po' boy, because the seafood is safe to eat. Now, human health is not the only thing we are addressing in all the research that we're doing at Tulane. One very important aspect, and where we focus a lot of our other research on in the ecosystems, is the Bywater Institute. And here to tell you more about it is my colleague, Dr. Alex Corkle.
Thank you so much. My name is Alex Kolker, and I'm a scientist in the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences here at Tulane. Here in Louisiana, we are surrounded by water. From its earliest beginnings to its most challenging times, water defines where and how people in Louisiana and New Orleans live and work. The place that we at Tulane call home is also home to one of the largest port complexes in North America and a sizable fraction of our energy industry. Louisiana is also habitat to some of our most beautiful wildlife and some of our most delicious seafood. And of course, some of the nation's most unique and, I should also say, joyous cultures live here in Louisiana. But this area is also under threat. Our coast in Louisiana has lost nearly 2,000 square miles of land over the last century, nearly a football field every hour. Here at Tulane and at the Bywater Institute, we are searching for solutions. Research by our group and our Tulane partners shows how to harness the natural land-building power of the Mississippi River to restore wetlands across the coast. We've used resources of the Tulane River and Coastal Center and the Bywater Biological Field Station at Carmichael Forest to study how to build land and the secretive and sometimes complex pathways by which the river is connected to its delta and how climate change impacts this system. And what we are learning here impacts not just Louisiana. The fast rate of coastal change in Louisiana makes this region the ideal laboratory to understand how societies worldwide can prepare for future climate change and global sea level rise. Tulane and the Bywater Institute are an emerging nexus in the development of a community of coastal researchers, practitioners, and intellectuals. Here, we strive to understand our home, our region, and our world.
Thanks, Alex, and thanks, Maureen. My name is Amy Lesson, and I'm a faculty member at the Bywater Institute, which is an interdisciplinary environmental research center here at Tulane. And what we really understand at the Bywater Institute is that in order to solve the problems facing coastal communities, we need to reach across disciplines and really reach outside the university to partner with those communities in order to do research that really answers the questions that communities are most concerned with and do research that's actually valuable to helping improve people's lives. Think back to 2010 when the Deepwater Horizon oil spill was gushing 5 million barrels of oil into the Gulf, and that was really threatening the vulnerable communities that were living there, threatening their livelihoods, their culture, and threatening their way of life. And I'm part of a large interdisciplinary research project that is working with those coastal communities to try to figure out all the different ways they were affected by the oil spill, ways they prepared in the past for disasters, and most importantly, how they can prepare for disasters in the future to really make sure that those communities are empowered to be as resilient as possible in the future. I'm also working with the Native American tribe of Ile de Jean Charles from coastal Terrebonne Parish in Louisiana, which some of you may have heard about. And they've seen 98% of their land shrink since the 1950s due to a whole host of reasons, including sea level rise caused by subsidence and climate change, oil and gas industry drilling into the coastline, as well as the sediment being starved into the system by the levee system. And I'm working with the tribe because they've actually designed a resettlement plan for themselves to move themselves to higher ground, to a place where they're less vulnerable, where they can actually really preserve their culture and community and their way of life. And I'm working with tribal members, I'm working with architects, designers, coastal organizations, community organizations, to try to model a way that all of us from so many different sectors, from the academic community, can work so closely with communities to make sure that this resettlement plan moves forward in a way that foregrounds the community and builds their capacity as much as possible. So as you've seen here from three of us from three different disciplines, here at Tulane and at the Bywater Institute, the lifeblood of my work and the lifeblood of our work is good science, collaborative, cross-disciplinary collaboration, and working closely with communities to solve problems in a way that really matters. Thank you very much.
Favorite part of commencement is when Dr. Michael White plays. It's pretty amazing. Dr. Michael White and the Michael White Trio. So glad to have you. Dr. White, let me just ask you, what is it about New Orleans, Tulane, and music that seem to always go together?
Well, you know, Tulane has been a part of jazz history actually since the beginning and is a continuing part. We have the William Ransom Hogan Jazz Archive at Tulane, which is the most important resource of studying early New Orleans jazz in the world. And in addition to that, Tulane has had a long tradition of having some of the earliest jazz bands in history perform on campus.
Wow. And we are proud to have you as an alum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. This
The School of Professional Advancement will be the preeminent place for education of adults in the southeastern United States and even around the world. The quality and excellence of the programs we offer will be worthy of the Tulane name, and the support we provide to veterans and others who are looking to advance or change careers will make it possible for them to succeed. I was attracted to Tulane by the opportunity to rethink adult education for the 21st century in the context of a university with a tremendous history of supporting adult students and applied learning in New Orleans, which is one of the most creative and fascinating cities in the world.
We're the School of Science and Engineering. We have scientists and engineers in the same school. There's no boundaries to collaborations. And I don't know of any other school in the country that has that model. And so I think that's pretty audacious. In the makerspace where we're standing right now, this is used by the architects, it's used by the artists. We have collaborations between neuroscience and dance. We have multiple departments that collaborate with the medical school. It's not like that at every university.
We look for having impact at many levels. We want to discover the next treatment of cancer, the next cure of an emerging infectious disease. But we also want to train the physicians and the scientists that will be leading throughout the country, taking care of patients. We're making tremendous discoveries, from a new pain reliever that has the power of opioids and yet is non-addictive, non-sedative. And we are curing diseases that people have today in New Orleans and in the region.
I've got to tell you, I'm really digging this MC gig. I really am. And I was just told there's an opening for a host on the Today Show. So this could really work out. They, oh my, this looks so familiar. This is, once a week I host a radio show on NPR locally called Out to Lunch, and I bring in two great people from the community, and we talk about their businesses and their careers, and everybody comes. I would like to think it's because they want to be on the show, but I really think it's because they want the free lunch at Commander's Palace, but it is, which is arguably one of the best restaurants in the world, and we've been doing it for 7 years, and I've met lots of people, but I don't think we've ever had this much brain power at one table. So let's see what we've got here. All righty, folks. All righty. Welcome to Out to Lunch.
Well, thank you.
They'll be coming by with the martinis any second.
That's not it. That's right. Garlic bread.
Another little secret: if you order the turtle soup, it's loaded with sherry.
Okay.
Just wanted to help you out there. Why don't we start this way? Jill, you are the professor and the director of the Brain Institute. But before that, where did you come from?
Well, I'm a native New Orleanian. I'm one of those natives who couldn't bring themselves to leave. So I got my PhD here at Tulane, and I was lucky enough to return as a faculty member.
Well, that is terrific. We're glad you stayed. Jim Zadina, you are a scientist. What was the route you took to get here?
Well, I grew up in Omaha, and
you were a personal friend of Warren Buffett, I think you told me.
I wish. Actually, I never met him, but I have eaten at his favorite restaurant, just never at the right time to meet him.
Very close.
Very close. And I took a course in psychobiology from a Tulane graduate while I was there, my last year in undergraduate. And that changed my life and my career goals. So I came to Tulane to study with his professor, who happened to be the person who started the interdisciplinary neuroscience program back in the early 70s. So we've been at this a long time. And what he encouraged us to do was to take psychology uptown and medical courses downtown. And that mix of interdisciplinary work led directly to a postdoc in Andrew Shalley's group, which was right after he won the Nobel Prize 40 years ago this week. And it was an incredibly exciting time to be in both neuroscience and at Tulane and working in that lab. And it still is, with the great job that they're doing developing this new brain institute.
You sort of lucked out getting you.
I lucked out getting here.
You lucked out. That's even better. Stacey Drury, by training, you are a child psychiatrist. Where do you fit in here?
I fit in here. I came to New Orleans the old-fashioned way. I met a boy, and I dragged him up to Michigan, where the weather was like it is today, but every day for about 6 months. And after one football game, when it rained and then it froze, he said, "Can we please go home?" And I said, "Well, there's lots of wonderful things in great universities." "Okay." Twist my arm.
And what attracted you to the program you're in now?
So as a child psychiatrist, one of the things that has been happening over the last 15 to 20 years in my field is a recognition that the interface between health and the brain and mental health is incredibly powerful. And what has been so amazing to see with the Brain Institute, I'm going to look to you guys too, because you're like over there. Hi. Okay. So, but one of the things about the brain is that it influences so many aspects of health. And in order to have these conversations, we need to have a group of people together who can talk about the basic science. So what are neurons doing in a petri dish? But what are neurons doing in animals? And then really have the clinicians right by our side to help us be able to translate all of these amazing findings in the basic and translational world into really making people's health better. And so child psychiatry is just entering the age of the brain, and it's been wonderful to know that I have these amazing colleagues who've already been there, because child psychiatry is a little bit slower than the rest. And I think that it's going to allow us to do amazing things in the future, and it makes it so much fun.
And Jim, you are working on something that is incredibly topical. Everybody is talking about opiate addiction and such. What is your goal over there?
We have actually two goals. So one is millions of people are in serious pain that is not well treated. They need new medications. And a related problem is the epidemic of opioid overdose deaths. And so in 1997, we discovered a chemical in the brain that was a good analgesic. And it gave us the audacious idea that maybe we should take a different path to painkillers than what has been going on for 100 years to give us what we have now. So instead of taking chemicals and modifying them again from the opium plant, we took this chemical from the brain and went through many modifications and came up with one that is very exciting. It not only in animal studies gave analgesia that was longer than that of morphine, but it didn't have the addictive properties, the behaviors that are associated with abuse. It didn't give respiratory depression that kills you if you overdose. Motor behavior isn't impaired, and many other side effects. It was a really unprecedented profile. And so we're very excited about this, and it is an example, I think. This project is an example of what we've talked about quite a bit as interdisciplinary, because it took chemistry, behavioral sciences, and now medicine as we move into patient populations. And so we think, hopefully, this could also be transformative for pain management and possibly even addiction.
And
you know what else we did?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me interrupt, because one of the things that's great is that your lab is right in the middle of the School of Medicine. And so all of the places where we treat people with chronic pain, so the disorders that are both from injury, but also from chronic disorders like sickle cell, anemia, and other factors, those patients are right there. And so when you're able to translate it, it's going to be exciting to have everything all in one spot. And that is something that is incredibly powerful and unique to Tulane. Often your basic scientists and your translational scientists live in a different world. And on the downtown campus where the Brain Institute is centered, the other half of the Brain Institute is centered, everybody is right together, making it a much more powerful environment.
And if it's okay, if I take a step back and share with you our vision and why we established
Now you were, I'm going to ask you kind of an odd question in this, is that we have a lot of startups that come to my show, and this was a startup.
Absolutely.
So
Let me tell you a little bit about the history and why we're even doing this. So as my colleagues have mentioned, neuroscience at Tulane has been around a long time. So in 1977, it was a neuroscientist at Tulane who won a Nobel Prize. And in 1986, a group of faculty from the uptown and downtown campus came together to form the Neuroscience PhD program, which is the first interdisciplinary program at Tulane. So I think, in my view, and I think in all of our views, the Brain Institute is an excellent example of what Tulane does best. We bring people together with different expertise from across the university to solve big problems. And what bigger problem is there than us understanding the brain, developing breakthroughs for these terrible diseases like Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, PTSD, depression, and so many others that affect all of our lives. So our vision for the Brain Institute is take this already strong foundation that we've had, this rich history of neuroscience at Tulane, and provide the infrastructure to take it to the next level. We are, one, building new physical spaces where we can bring faculty from across the university together. So like Stacy said, we have a neurobiologist who wants to study memory and how neurons encode memory, working side by side with a biomedical engineer who is engineering proteins that may have implications for diseases of memory like Alzheimer's. We are investing in our faculty. We're providing small grant funding for new proof of concept ideas that may not be quite ready for federal funding. We are investing in the faculty by creating new professorships, new endowed chairs to keep our best faculty, and importantly, recruit the best minds in neuroscience to want to come to Tulane. And finally, really importantly, is that we have a very strong neuroscience program. Our undergraduate major has been actually recognized recently as the top, one of the top, I would like to say the top, but one of the top 12 in the country. And one of the reasons that was cited for its excellence is that we integrate our undergraduates in our research program across the university. So last year, well, we have 400 undergraduate majors, approximately. And last year, 100 of those students were involved in research, about half of them at the School of Medicine and half of them at the Uptown campus. So I think all of us would agree we're primed to take neuroscience at the next level, to do really important research. We want the best and brightest minds who study neuroscience, who want to train and educate in the field of neuroscience to come to the Tulane Brain Institute to do so.
And Jim, you get the award because you used Audacious in a sentence. In case there's a drinking game out there, I know this happens. It is. You know, one of the things that surprises me is, I have colleagues at other universities, and they are very open with me about that. They feel very siloed. That it seems like they're really not encouraged, or maybe even told not to cross the lines.
Took the words out of my mouth. If someone asked me what makes us unique, that's what I would say. I'd say this culture of collaboration is fairly unique. I think if you talk to colleagues, and I do that, they will tell you, yes, best science is when we come together, but it's really hard to get people to do that because people are focused on their own goals. That's not true here, and it's never been true here. And I think that's why we have such an opportunity to do really great things.
And what gets me on this too, is that we talk to a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, obviously, and one of the things they mention is that they've been in these incubators, these business incubators in San Francisco and Boston and New York and such, and they are actually, while they're good places, people are very competitive with each other and not at all helpful. They come to New Orleans, and you get that kind of New Orleans feel, even in that side of things. Now, one of the things that was mentioned here, and I'll start with Stacy on this, is that this is terrific how all the different departments are working together. But Jill mentioned that it isn't just faculty; the students are involved, and that's also kind of unusual.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's been amazing about this recent infrastructure for the Brain Institute is that we got support to create an entirely new innovative program, a volunteer program for our students. And this is a program where the students can actually go to the stroke unit and provide support and hang out with patients who are recovering from stroke in a way that they previously weren't able to do. And we have built a stroke support group outside of the medical school because what we want to do is allow students who are studying the molecular basis of stroke or who want to go to medical school to be able to see the long-term implications of what they are doing. And also, at the same time, make a huge difference in the lives of these individuals who are recovering from this really difficult situation. And it is so amazing to see the students' faces when they come out of the room. They're like really anxious when they go in there. And they're like, what if I screw up? And I was like, all you're doing is talking. Like, if you do that, you should be good. And they come out and they're completely transformed, and they get why they're doing the basic science, or they get why they're studying for that evil MCAT. And as a psychiatrist, I'm thrilled because it means that when they go to medical school, they're going to be much more able to know how to talk to people. And I think that's another amazing thing about our faculty within the Brain Institute is that everybody is incredibly approachable. So Beth Wee is this magical grandmother that people come back and talk to you forever.
I think she'd say mother.
Mother, sorry. Sorry,
I
Beth.
get people angry.
Sorry, Mother Beth. And it's just an amazing collaboration at every level. So how do we train the best and brightest? How do we do our own research better? And how do we take that message back to the community and to the clinicians and really make huge impacts?
And our project is an example. We had integration at not only lateral integration within different disciplines, but vertical with every level in academia. So professors, postdoctoral fellows, medical students, graduate students, and undergraduate students. And all of these are some of the best ever, any place. The undergraduates play a vital role in our lab. In fact, 3 of them recently have won recognition honors at in commencement for their work on this project that I talked about. And we feel like they add vigor and new ideas and enthusiasm, and we hope to give back to them the tools and the approaches that can help them go out and change the world.
Okay, I do want to say we are competitive about one thing. I constantly am seeing how many of the graduating awards go to neuroscience students, and I think we've won the last couple years.
Absolutely.
With the
We
most
keep
major.
track of those.
So I'm just saying there's a little bit of competition.
That's a good kind of competition. Now, you know what we do around this time of the show is usually somebody will do that just so we know we're in a restaurant. And we have buttons for that. We have a button for the Heimlich maneuver if we really wanted to have that on the show. That's very helpful. Jill, you're from here, and that is so terrific. And this representation is a lot like the show, whereas we have great people that are from the New Orleans area, and they stayed because, frankly, who would want to leave? But about 2/3 of our guests are from somewhere else. And I've got to tell you something I've never said on the air, and that is, of those 2/3, a big portion of them have Tulane connections. And what Tulane is, and I know we don't get credit for this, but a tremendous economic engine for the city of New Orleans. We really do. These people come to Tulane and they stay, and that's one of the things that really makes being down here so exciting. I would assume from what you said earlier that if they do this very unusual hands-on work, it would help them move to the next level.
Absolutely. And so I think recruiting the best faculty recruits the best students, then the students go on and do great things, then it's just this cycle of excellence that we're already a part of, and I think we're going to build on that.
I will say in child psychiatry, I mean, one of our most important things is training mental health professionals to stay here, and it's been amazing to watch undergrads come in and be excited about the brain and be excited about where the field of psychiatry is, and then we train them and we keep them, which is something that as a university where you bring in students from so many places to get them to stay and provide care and be clinicians here has been really wonderful to see. And I think part of that is this amazing collection of people that help them be trained across disciplines so that they are able to see these different trajectories.
Now, on the other hand, if you don't mind if I interrupt, so we have a good reputation as well, so we love to keep our students here, and I also have colleagues who know if they're getting a neuroscience student from Tulane, they're going to have a well-trained student. And so I think we have a little bit of both. We like to keep our students here, and we also want to send them out to the world to spread the good news of what we're doing here.
Once we get them here, we got them, right? I mean, there's nothing else to eat, when you leave, and so it's...
I'm amazed anybody ever leaves. Well, I just came down as undergrad to visit. Look where I am now. So for all of you that moved away, good job.
It's not those Mardi Gras stories where people come, they get carried away, and then they're sending home for their furniture. So that is... Now, Stacey, did you start with humans in your work, or did...
So I used to think that little kids were most important, and then little kids keep getting smaller and smaller. And so what we look at is very much the same as what Maureen does, actually. I work with her in Suriname. But one of the things is that the Brain Institute's allowed me to take a different message to moms and babies, which is how do we grow better brains? So we talk about brain neurodegeneration and Alzheimer's, but I want to figure out the best ways to grow the brightest and smartest from the moment that they are in mom's belly, and sometimes even a little bit sooner, and really trying to understand how parents and families and even communities and neighborhoods can serve as sort of a biologic bubble wrap that protects kids. So we haven't figured out how to get rid of violence, we haven't figured out how to get rid of hurricanes, but if we can provide a supportive, protective environment for kids, those neurons can grow and they can help solve all these problems in the next generation. So I get to play with babies and help moms and talk about brains, and I don't think there's a better job in the world.
In my research about you, I have that you started out working with flies. That's you have really tiny brains. I just wanted to point that out.
They do,
yeah.
Apparently. But you can do a lot of things with flies you can't do with children.
I sure hope that's true. Let me ask you a question we sometimes ask on the show. Best professional experience so far, maybe a day that you were just so happy you're doing what you're doing. Jim?
Well, a couple of them. When we first found that chemical in the brain, that was really exciting. And then it was just building up from there. So
yep.
I guess that was one of the best.
It's got to be a big day. Jill,
Well, my very
just getting this thing started was a big
well,
day.
that
right?
okay. I was gonna say, that's the right answer. So, but actually, personally or professionally, with my own student, my very first graduate student, when you do science, it's frustrating, and day after day you go in and things don't work. And so, my very first graduate student, I walked in one day, this big old guy, and he had tears coming out of. He's crying, and he goes, "Look at this!" And he got this. He made this discovery, and that's what science is all about. Making discoveries, days and days of frustration when things don't work, and then that day when you discover something new.
And it's all worth it?
It's all worth it.
It's like beating your head against the wall because it feels so good when you stop.
Right.
Yeah.
But that being said, the day the Brain Institute opened was really my best.
Okay, that was, and that...
It really was a big day. The accomplishment of it, people coming together after 30-something years of doing neuroscience at Tulane, that we're getting this top-down infrastructure, that we're getting the support of alums, the administration, of the community is absolutely fantastic.
You know, we all have brains, so they should be very interested in this. They just to get into the school, really, you didn't need that. But Stacey, what about yourself? Was there a moment that jumped out at you?
So I will say, from a research perspective, our very first mother and infant who completed their 12-month assessments, so we prospectively recruit moms during pregnancy, and then we do all these assessments until the first year. When she finished, and we said, "Thank you so much for being part of our study," she started crying. And the tears, I was like, "Oh, what happened?" And she goes, "I'm so grateful I was part of this study. It made my child smarter." And the interesting thing was, it wasn't an intervention. All we did was bring her in and watch her play with her child and collect some spit. And so the idea that just having her baby spit made that kid smarter, but also that was what I valued about research, which was it was a way that we could impact lives. And if I can do that just by having him come into my study, imagine what we can do with data that shows that we can protect these brains and grow them even better.
Sometimes I cry at the end of the show. So this is, I want to thank you, all of you, for taking the time to join me today and out to lunch. And tune in next week when we go back to the table here at Commander's Palace for more Out to Lunch. Thanks. Appreciate it.
One of the things that is special about Tulane is the fact that we treat our undergraduates as individuals and not as a collective. And so I always tell students you should think about this as a menu of options that is your choice, and it's an individual educational experience. And that will continue. You look at our alumni base, and they're in just about every possible leadership role around the country and beyond, from government to industry to the entertainment world to finance. We have to prepare students for a very different world than the world that I went into when I graduated from college. Students may well end up in careers that don't exist today. They're very likely to change careers multiple times, whether that's starting in graduate school or going straight into the world of work. And so because we have this ability to let students build programs that cross different areas, that they can see problems from different lenses, we want to continue to reinforce that.
Our audacious vision for the School of Architecture is to accelerate the positive social impact we are making through architecture, preservation, and sustainable real estate development. There's no other School of Architecture that has the level of involvement with the city that they reside in as we do. Our impact in the city has been profound, especially since Hurricane Katrina. In the School of Architecture, our students and faculty engage the City of New Orleans in many of their design projects, and their work is fundamentally connected to this place. The example of architectural exploration and preservation and real estate here in New Orleans actually has applicability in all other cities across the United States and indeed the world. Students in architecture are inspiring, creative, and fundamentally dedicated to their work.
Great. Oh. Can I ask you a question? Who do you think has the best job at Tulane? I don't know. Is anybody, let's see. I know we got a lot of faculty and staff here. Get staff. Let's see. Who is, Mike, you think it's you? No, I actually don't think so. I think that's a very difficult job, being president. Wait, it's such a, you think. Why? Now, you head up all admissions. Why do you think that's a great job? I've often said that the toughest thing is not writing a college application, it's reading them. And, but you think you get the best job out there.
I do. You know, with the help of an outstanding team. Just last year, we were able to recruit the academically strongest, most diverse, most selective class in the history of Tulane. Our average SAT score was 1449, 21% acceptance rate, and 26% students from all over the world and the country. I think Tulane is more popular than it has ever been.
Sajid Gupta, those are pretty amazing numbers. I grew up in Boston, and in high school I thought I was pretty wicked smart, but but I don't think I would get into Tulane today, would I?
I'm not going to answer that question. But what I can tell you is that these students are amazing. And the work that we're doing in admission matters because we're changing lives. And seeing these students' lives changed, transformed right in front of my eyes is very fulfilling. And no one knows this better than me because I'm an international student that came to this country to have his life changed. But here's why I think I'm going to win. We just loaded a video right behind you on that massive screen that captures the emotions of students when they found out that they got into Tulane just last week. I think you should show it.
All right.
There's one email about my Tulane application status.
You haven't opened it yet. Listen.
What you doing?
Tristan's about to find out what Tulane said.
Just do it. I didn't get him. You got it. How do you know? I don't know, but I'm supposed to say it.
Whether it's good or bad, you know that we have number law for it.
Welcome to the class of 2022.
They are so lucky to have you. Admission to Tulane.
That is great. Oh boy, Satya, you win. I can't compete with that. But what do you think? I think the second best job at Tulane would be provost. I really do. It's a tough job, but I think it really is the second best job. And Robin Foreman came here a few years ago. He's only been here a few years, but he's all in at Tulane. In fact, I sit next to him during a lot of the Tulane baseball games, and he has become a voracious reader of Tulane history, so much so that he has created a game show for you folks in the audience. This is just terrific. Robin, come on down. Oh, there you go. Good luck, sir.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to the game show portion of the festivities. So let me tell you how this is going to work. We have three remarkable Tulane students. They're each going to tell you an audacious story about the way Tulane University has changed the world. And they're each going to do their best to convince you that their story is true. The problem is, only one of them will be true. Now, here's the hard part. The other two will be almost true. So you're going to have to pay close attention to the details if you're going to find the audacious truth. And as a grand prize for the student who does the best job, I'm going to take advantage of my authority as provost and raise their GPA by half a point. So there's a lot at stake today. Okay, let's meet our contestants. Just say your name, where you're from, and what you're studying.
Hi, I'm Hunter Williams from West Monroe, Louisiana. I graduated with neuroscience, and I'm a student at the Tulane School of Medicine.
Great, thank you. And yep. What Hunter didn't tell you is he just graduated with a 4.0 GPA in neuroscience while playing first base and hitting third for the Tulane Green Wave baseball team. He was an academic All-American, managing his diabetes by measuring his insulin every half inning. He hit with power and average and turned down opportunities to play professional baseball so that he could start his medical education here at Tulane University. Let's welcome Hunter. May, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, I am Mei Wang. I'm originally from China. I am a graduate student, and I study biomedical engineering.
Now, what May's not telling you is she got her bachelor's and master's from Tulane, and she recently co-founded and is president of Instapath, a company she founded with other Tulane students that provides technology for instantaneous and accurate biopsies, which has the potential to transform that medical operation. Together as a team, they've won multiple competitions, including the International Business Model Competition, beating teams from such also RANs as Harvard and Johns Hopkins. And most importantly, that technology is the core of her doctoral work, and she defended her thesis 1 week ago today and will soon be Dr. May. Shamat, tell us a little about yourself.
My name is Shamat. I'm from Roswell, Georgia. I'm a sophomore majoring in political economy with a secondary self-design major and a minor in international development.
Great. Now, what Shamat is not telling you is, as a first-generation college student, he has thrown himself into Tulane. And remember, he's only a sophomore, and he's taking full advantage of what Tulane means. So he's a senator in the student government. He's an academic fellow at the Center for Academic Equity. He's part of the Tulane EMT program and became a nationally certified emergency medical technician. He's a member of the inaugural Tulane slam poetry team, Rhyme versus Reason, and he self-created a major in Middle Eastern Studies with a specialty in gender and sexuality to prepare for a career advocating for LGBT Muslims who live in countries whose governments have outlawed their very identity. Shamat, welcome. So, as you can see, we chose 3 random Tulane students to join us today for this competition. Okay, so the way it's going to work, we're going to have 2 lightning rounds followed by the championship round. Okay, so here's the lightning round. May, tell us an audacious story about Tulane University.
You can thank a Tulane alum for inventing dental floss.
Interesting. Shamat?
The tagline of Tulane's 1920 fundraising campaign was "Help keep the doors open."
And Hunter?
Chicken processing plants, Amazon storehouses, and oil rigs have all served as classrooms for Freeman students in the Birken Road Reports program.
Okay. We invented dental floss. We told our alums we need their help to keep the doors open. And the Birken Road Report students have had classrooms in chicken processing plants, Amazon storehouses, and oil rigs. Take a moment to decide which one you think is true. Okay. By applause, who thinks a Tulane alum invented dental floss? Who thinks the tagline of our 1920 campaign was "Help keep the doors open"? And who thinks the Birken Road Report students have studied at chicken processing plants, Amazon storehouses, and oil rigs? Okay. Okay. May, Shamat, Hunter, who was telling the truth?
It was me.
That's right. The tagline of Tulane's 1920 fundraising campaign was "Help keep the doors open." At the time, Tulane had a reputation for being a wealthy school awash in money. And the point of the campaign was to convince the community that, in fact, we were impoverished and needed their support. So, did a Tulane alum invent dental floss? Almost. Dental floss, the invention of dental floss, is credited to New Orleans dentist Levi Spear Parmley. But Tulane alum and faculty member in the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine, Charles Bass, perfected dental floss and discovered that nylon worked really well and created what is the prototype for what became modern dental floss. And did Freeman students study at chicken processing plants, Amazon storehouses, and oil rigs as part of the Birken Road Reports program? Almost. Birken Road Reports is an unbiased, detailed study of small and medium-sized companies in the Southeast. Small and medium-sized rules out Amazon. So they have studied. So yeah, these are tricky, right? They have studied at chicken processing plants and oil rigs, but not Amazon. But the alums from the Birken Road Reports program, the Tulane students, hundreds of them, are now working around the country. They're known for their skill and attention to detail, and they are known nationwide as Birken dorks. So, okay, let's move on to round two. Hunter, tell us an audacious story.
A Tulane medical student made open heart surgery possible.
Wow. May?
Tulane engineers have transformed science fiction into reality by developing the first global positioning system in 1977.
Interesting. Shamat?
You should thank Tulane for your polyester clothes.
Okay. Open heart surgery, the GPS, and polyester. Which one do you think Tulane is directly responsible for? So who thinks a Tulane medical student made open heart surgery possible? Who thinks Tulane engineers developed the first global positioning system? And who thinks a Tulanean invented polyester? Okay. Okay, Hunter, May, Shamat, who was telling the truth?
I was telling the truth.
So a Tulane medical student made open heart surgery possible. Do you know who that Tulane medical student was? Yeah, Michael DeBakey, who got his Bachelor of Science and his MD degree from Tulane before joining the faculty. Known as a medical pioneer with many inventions and medical processes to his credit. He also got the Presidential Medal of Science, well known for leading the team that developed the artificial heart. But as a medical student here at Tulane, he invented the roller pump, the essential element in the heart-lung machine that pumps blood, enabling open heart surgery to take place. Oh, but what about the other elements? Tulane engineers developing the first global positioning system? Not quite. The global positioning system was announced by the Department of Defense in 1973, but in 1977, Tulane alum Harold Rosen developed geosynchronous communication satellites, which are now the backbone of the cell phone and GPS technology. And did a Tulane alum invent polyester? Fortunately, no. But the brilliant Ruth Benarito graduated from Newcomb College in 1935 at the age of 19 with majors in chemistry, math, and physics. Went to work in the textile industry, held 55 patents, and is credited with inventing wrinkle-free cotton. Yes. Okay. Now you've got the hang of it. This is the championship round. These are going to be longer stories. You're really going to have to pay attention to the details. Okay. Shamat, tell us an audacious story about Tulane.
Never an institution to pass up an excuse for celebration, Tulane pulled out all the stops to honor a man who had been dead for 400 years. As part of the first folio exhibit honoring William Shakespeare, representatives from the School of Liberal Arts, along with the Wendell Brunius Brass Band, gathered together to march down Bourbon Street, honoring the poet, playwright, and literary icon with a jazz funeral in 2016.
Okay. Hunter, you're next. Tell us an audacious story about Tulane.
The inaugural Sugar Bowl was played in Tulane Stadium in 1935. The Green Wave was up against stiff competition with Temple University's Owls, coached by the legendary Pop Warner, meeting them on the field that day. Also in attendance at the game were two Egyptian mummies who were sequestered beneath the bleachers. Whether it was due to athletic prowess, home field advantage, or the presence of the deceased Egyptian elites, Tulane took the day, beating Temple 20-14.
Okay. May, what's your audacious story?
Tulane Law School alum don't just study precedents, they set them. Betsy Mongolian was born to Russian Jewish parents in Brooklyn, but was raised in New Orleans orphanage. She simultaneously attended Newcomb College and Tulane Law School, becoming the only female in the law student body at the time. After graduation, she led a brilliant professional life, arguing and winning 21 of 24 cases before the Supreme Court. After World War II, she served with the War Department, attending the Nuremberg trials, where she drafted original regulation under which the tribunal were constituted. Later, she went on to help found the National Organization for Women and help to create the Equal Pay Act.
Well, thank you. Okay, so if you were in the French Quarter at the right time, you would have seen a Tulane-led second-line funeral for William Shakespeare. Or if you went to the Sugar Bowl in 1935, you could have had a seat next to two mummies watching a Tulane victory against Temple. Or Bessie Margolin graduated from Tulane and not only ended up arguing cases before the Supreme Court, establishing the rules under which the Nazi war criminals would be tried, founded the National Organization of Women, and created the Equal Pay Act. Okay, who thinks that we led a jazz funeral for Shakespeare in 2016? Who thinks we had two mummies attend Tulane Stadium to join his first Sugar Bowl victory? And who believes Bessie Margolin changed Nazi trials? Interesting. I think that was pretty close. Okay, Shamat Hunter May, who was telling the audacious truth?
I was telling the truth.
Yes, one of the most remarkable of Tulane's stories, Bessie Margolin, a female Jewish orphan, graduated from Newcomb College and went on to absolutely change the world, change the legal world and the way we understand the role of women. Well, how about the jazz funeral for Shakespeare, led by Mike Kaczynski, who will be out on the stage shortly? Yes, we did hold jazz funerals for Shakespeare, and it received worldwide attention. And we held them on campus and in Washington, D.C., and in Stratford-upon-Avon, where we were part of a record-setting crowd of folks commemorating the 400th anniversary of the death of Shakespeare, but we did not hold a jazz funeral in the French Quarter. And the Sugar Bowl victory. Yes, we did face the previously undefeated Temple Owls in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day 1935. We won 20-14 in a dramatic victory, coming back from a 0-14 deficit. And yes, we have two mummies who are encased in glass. We're figuring out where else we can store them. We put them underneath the Tulane Stadium, but it wasn't quite true because we didn't put them there until 1955. So they showed up 20 years late for the Sugar Bowl. Okay, so that's the game. Who here got all three questions correct? So not many of you, but not only are you winners, we're all winners, and I hope by exploring a little bit of Tulane history, you got a better sense of why those students were so excited to be joining this remarkable community. Thanks for playing Find the Audacious Truth.
The A.B. Freeman School of Business is a community of scholar educators, intellectually curious and highly motivated students, and talented staff, all of whom are working to impact positively business and society at large. We have quietly, over the last few years, become among the fastest growing business schools in the United States. Our impact is being felt through the relationships that our people create, one-on-one with other individuals, between the business school and organizations, and their efforts to create institutions. We shortly will be occupying this newly renovated and expanded business school complex. This student-centric facility will help us achieve new heights in learning outcomes and help us to innovate our teaching approaches.
Our students are coming from further away than anywhere, and they are adventuresome, they are audacious, they are willing to go beyond the bubble of the university and change the world. Our faculty take those students to heart. They bring their research into the classroom, engage, challenge, and inspire. We can become the central place for learning about the Gulf South, teaching, research, and service. we can provide a center where the world comes to learn about New Orleans and learn about what we are doing here.
My vision for this school is to really address the health and behavioral health disparities of the community in New Orleans and surrounding regions, but also have a national impact in all the work we do in the School of Social Work. We have experts in disaster mental health and trauma, addiction, mental health, especially addressing not only the individual needs, but also finding the impact on the community and how these things work together to solve real world problems. The motto for the Tulane School of Social Work is do work that matters. It's also our hashtag on social media, and I think it really gets to the heart of the work that our faculty and students do. We look to make an impact on not only the local New Orleans community, but see how it impacts the greater world.
Right. This is great. The first of those 3 videos was my boss, Dean Iris Solomon, at the Freeman School of Business. And you were the first people to ever enter our new business school. What did you think of it? It was pretty awesome. I think it's, oh my gosh. It's been great. And this has been fun too. When I originally heard the name of this function was going to be the big reveal, I thought it sounded like maybe an old-timey burlesque show in the French Quarter, but this is working out great. We've got a great feature right now, and that is, we're going to have a great late-night talk show right here, and we're going to start by telling you, okay, broadcasting live from Tulane University at the Fogelman Arena at the Devlin Fieldhouse, an English professor who knows the difference between progress and Congress, Mike Kaczynski. Where is he? All right. Woo! All right.
Good evening, Tulane. Good evening. Welcome to the not too late night Tulane talk show. The moon is up over Gibson Hall. Everybody's wearing their blue and their green, and we've got a dazzling show for you tonight. In fact, my first guest is a literary supernova, somebody who was born and raised and lives in DeLisle, Mississippi, is now a Tulane faculty member, and this year her career has absolutely shined and lit up the literary firmament. She's the MacArthur Genius Fellow of the Year and a 2-time National Book Award winner. Please join me in welcoming Jessamine Ward. Hey, Jessamine, thanks for coming. Thank you for coming. So, Jessamine, this has been a great year for you. You are a 2-time National Book Award winner. Your most recent book, Sing, Unburied Sing, is a fantastic novel, but this has also been a fantastic decade for you. I was looking back over your CV. Over the course of 10 years, 5 major books, all of them very well received. You're the mother of 2 young children. How do you do it? Tell us how you do it.
Well, I treat writing like the discipline that it is. I write on a schedule. I write very early in the morning. I get up before my kids get up, and I get 1 to 2 hours of writing in 5 days a week, whether I feel like it or not. You know, that's the only way that books get written. You know, you have to work at them every day.
So writing is a discipline, but as we all know, it requires a great deal of inspiration. What are the sources of your inspiration?
I feel like I write for a couple of different reasons. One, I write for the people who live in the place where I come from, right? For the people who live in my hometown in Mississippi. I just felt like I never saw the kind of people that I grew up with and the kind of people I loved in the literature that I read, and I wanted to see them reflected in that, in literature. So I write for them, but now as I grow and mature as a writer, I'm finding that I'm drawn to stories about forgotten people in history. Sing Unburied Sing has a character who went to Parchment Prison and served time in Parchment Prison in the 40s when he was 13 years old. Before I started researching Parchment Prison, I had no idea that characters like him existed. But once I found out that kids like him existed, I wanted to write about him. So as the more that I write, I find that I'm becoming more attracted to those stories, right? To like pulling the forgotten people out of the past and bringing them into the present.
So you are one of the most famous people I know. I might not be saying that if I were Seth Meyers, but I'd be talking about myself. But I mean, you're famous, and yet you're deeply grounded. You're somebody whose inspiration comes from the Gulf region. You're committed to the region, and you've come to Tulane to be a faculty member. Tell us a little bit about what attracted you to Tulane.
There are many reasons I was attracted to Tulane. I mean, the first reason that I was attracted to Tulane is because of the students. They're really smart, they're driven, they're passionate about the work that they do. They're committed to changing the world in some respects, right? Through, like wherever their passion leads them, that's where they want to go, that's where they want to do the work, and they want to have a real impact, after they leave Tulane. And so, I mean, that's a dream for an educator, right? To teach students like that. And then, of course, I was also attracted to Tulane because of the faculty here, right? I mean, the faculty are actually doing that world-changing work. And, I wanted to be part of that community.
So I'm sure students and perhaps some faculty sometimes ask you for advice about what it takes. What does it take to commit yourself to the discipline, to be open to the inspiration of becoming a novelist of the caliber that you are?
Why, I tell students and people who ask me about writing, I always tell them two things. One, I tell them that you have to do the work, right? You have to read everything, you have to write all the time, you have to write every day, and you have to really do the work to become a better writer. And then I also tell people this. I tell them that you should do everything you can so that you do not, you should persist, right? Because you don't want to remove yourself from the conversation, right? You don't want to find that it's too difficult, you keep getting rejected, and then you give up. If you do that, then you've removed yourself from the conversation, you've handicapped yourself. So I tell people to persist through all the rejections, because ideally, one day what will happen is that one gatekeeper will see your work, will see something great in your work, and they'll open a door for you. And so you just have to hang in there until you find that person who will open a door for you.
So discipline,
yes,
inspiration, and persistence.
Yes.
That's a pretty good recipe for success in any field and in your field in particular. All right, now you knew this was coming. Seth left these cards in the drawer, so we're going to play a little game.
Okay.
Right, this is a rapid fire game.
Okay.
I'm going to say a word to you, and I'd like you to respond with what comes to mind first when I say that word.
Okay.
First word, ambitious.
Absalom.
Bold.
Beloved.
Courageous.
Color purple.
Curious.
Little fires everywhere.
Daring.
Bad feminist.
Dauntless.
Girl who drank the moon.
Extraordinary.
The fortunes.
Innovative.
Long division.
Intrepid.
Let's see, these are difficult. How about Americana?
Unwavering.
As I Lay Dying.
And last but not least, Audacious?
Tulane.
All right. Now, there are two chairs on stage. You're not my only guest tonight. Someone's backstage who has said something about you which I think is really deeply moving and which I would second. This person has said that you represent the best of who we are and who we want to be. And that person and my second special guest is President Mike Fitz. Thanks for coming on the show.
I feel like Ed McMahon.
Don't make any jokes at my expense. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Jasmine, I came out here, first of all, to tell you how proud I am and everybody in the entire Tulane community is about you, what you've done for this country. Your voice has lit up the entire nation. You really thrill our souls. And I just can't emphasize the value you have created for this country. Now, we've heard... Now, we've heard Jasmine, two-time winner of the National Book Awards, but I literally looked this up of who has won 2 National Book Awards, and I want to read you the list. It includes Saul Bellow, John Cheever, William Faulkner, Philip Roth, John Updike, and Jasmine Ward. So I know you've won every single prize, but there's a prize that you haven't received, a prize that the President of France has won, President of Costa Rica, and Wynton Marsalis, and that is the Tulane President's Medal. It is the highest honor that the President of Tulane can give out. And in honor of everything that you've done, I would like to give you the President's Medal. You honor us, you honor the country by your success.
Yes. Thank you.
So for those of you who haven't yet read Sing Unburied Sing, the few of you in the audience, I think in your swag bags you will find an autographed copy of Jasmine's new novel. And I hope you'll come back for our next installment of Late Night, or Not So Late Night. Tulane next week. The Queen, Helen Mirren, has promised to pay us a return visit. She enjoyed herself so much at commencement that she'll be back on stage next week. Thanks so much for being here with us tonight.
As you can see, we have the most extraordinary faculty in the country, as well as some of the funniest faculty in the country, along with the funniest provost in the country. So again, this has been an incredible show, and I think you have a sense of the breadth, the depth, the audacity of this community, and the quality of the people who are here. And this is a campaign of bringing that group and all of us to the next level. And I want to thank all of you, everybody in this audience, for everything that you've done to make this community second to none and unlike any other in the United States, and what will be this community over the next 5 to 10 years as a result of this campaign. The question, of course, is how do you end an event like this? And there's simply no way to end an event like this other than to have Green Envy come out and sing. That's great.
I got this feeling on Tulane's campus, baby, when I first stepped on the Crescent City, down to the dome. We're coming down to start a new year, oh, it's on. I got my splash card in my pocket to study at Howie T. Bio homework for Dr. V, it's real tough. Ooh, got 70 different majors, the one that's best for me. Finance to neuroscience, or do both. And under the oaks, we'll see you next fall. Living in Sharp, Monroe, Butler, or Wall. Get your free donuts up at Cut Hall. Dean McLaren. If you really love to use it, just dance, dance, dance. Feeling good, good, catching muse's shoes, so you dance, dance, dance. Come on. Wake up early for Zulu when you dance, dance, dance. And hit that beat tree with your crew, so keep dancing. I'm feeling Tulane. So just dance, dance. I'm feeling Tulane. Just dance, dance. Ooh, now watch that green wave roll. Chillin' with Riptide here at Yeoman for football. Doing some research, chasing my goal. Public service, giving back out here with you. Got my splash card in my pocket, swiping at Bruff and Eat. Got that gumbo in my belly on Fridays. Ooh, gonna work it off at Riley. Go see Joe for ABT. Play club sports or intramurals. Play both, and all of the nights on Broadway are fun. Now wake up for an Autobahn run. Check emails, read the view from the sun. Resident Fit. Really love to use it. Dance, dance, dance. Feeling good, good love, all live and blue. So you dance, dance, dance. Come on, hit the fly this afternoon and we dance, dance, dance. And late night pizza at the booth, so keep dancing. I'm feeling Tulane. Just dance, dance. I'm feeling Tulane. Just dance, dance. I'm feeling Tulane. Just dance, dance. I'm feeling Tulane. So keep dancing. I'm feeling